I'm okay, guys. How are you?
You're okay.
Whoa.
What's wrong?
Hey.
Well, Jerry West passed away today. It's not a fun day.
Okay, got you. That is 100% on us. I should have understood that in the NBA world, this is obviously a massive loss. He went to
Yeah.
West Virginia, obviously WVU legend. He has a statue at WVU outside of the Coliseum. I assume there's many others. Went to college with Johnny West, one of his kids. We watched his highlights this morning. Absolute dog. 8 championships as an executive, 1 as a player. Obviously, 2-time All-American at West Virginia. Won the MVP of the NCAA tournament in a losing effort against Cal. An absolute superstar in the basketball community. How much was he still doing, his impact, and what were his roles here as he got a little bit older in the NBA, Wendy?
Man, he was a certified badass.
Okay.
Into his 80s, had a presence about him. I got a chance to talk to him on, a handful of occasions over the years. What a powerful person. And he was still involved with the Clippers. He had been ill for the last year or so. I don't know all the details. But really, up until that, he was actively involved in what the Clippers were doing. Even probably still, they were consulting him on stuff. This is a guy who was a factor in building the dynasty Golden State Warriors. Sort of famously threatened to resign his position. He was an advisor, but he had some sort of role like chairman on the board or something like that, or board member or something. But he basically was like, I'm going to quit this job if you trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. They were seriously considering doing that. They had traded away Monte Ellis to get Bogut, and they thought they'd get Kevin Love and get those guys as sort of the Twin Towers. And he was like, you better not trade Klay Thompson. And he was actually the guy who, when the Clippers were looking at draft, I think it was in 17 or 18, when the Clippers were looking at draft picks, he identified Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was like, we got to get this guy. And he helped engineer hiding Gilgeous-Alexander in the draft process. He started shutting down workouts, and they gave him one of those wink promises so that I think the Clippers had the 13th or 12th or 13th pick, and they want him to slide to him. And look, there was other people involved. I don't want to make it sound like he was the only guy, but he was the guy who started to engineer that. Kind of like they did with Kobe. He sort of engineered trying to get Kobe in the 90s, making a deal with Charlotte to draft Kobe, I think, with, again, the 12th or 13th pick. So obviously he's known for being this amazing player, Mr. Clutch. Went to 9 finals before he won one. And that was what some of our conversations were about. Back in 2000, I think it was 2014 or something, LeBron mentioned one day that when he was at his lowest moment in 2011, that he called Jerry West. 2011 is when he lost to the Mavericks. He had that really poor, by his standards, finals. And he was really upset. And so he called Jerry West because he knew Jerry West had done a lot of losing. And I called him to talk to Jerry about it. And, I talked to Jerry about it a couple of times over the years, actually. And the thing about Jerry West is that this is a guy, he has 9 championship rings. He won 1 as a player. He won 6 with the Lakers as an executive, and he won 2 more with the Warriors. So he's got 9 rings. He's got a gold medal. He was on the 1960 U.S. Olympic team, so he's got a gold medal. He was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom, one of the highest honors you can get in the country. He's in this summer. He's actually being inducted to the Naismith Hall of Fame in the 3rd different wing, as a player, as an executive, and he was going in as a contributor this year. All of those attributes are on his resume. And I could go on and on and on. 10-time All-NBA, all-time leading scorer in the finals. I could go on and on. Out of all that, the thing that, when you talk to Jerry West, that drove him was all the losses that he had. And, he lost 3 Game 7s in the finals, twice by 2 points, 1 or 2 points. And that's what he talked to LeBron about back in 2011, which was picking yourself up after you lose. And, Pat, he had this way of talking where he would say the word okay at the end of sentences, but it wasn't, he'd be like, look, I lost a lot, okay? And people made fun of me a lot, okay? And people are going to, talk bad about you, okay? But that doesn't mean you stink, okay? And he would sort of say it that way. It's kind of like an old-timey guy would say, see, But it was this sort of halting way of speaking. And he just would set his jaw and he would lock his eyes. And he was just my first thing I ever did, and I know I'm rambling here, I'm sorry.
No, we're lucky for this. We're all learning a lot right now, Wendy.
my first night that I ever really did anything covering the NBA was at the 2003 draft lottery. I went there because I was covering the Cavs, and they had a chance to win the draft lottery to get LeBron. Okay, there was not, there was a list of owners and general managers there. Well, Jerry West was there representing the Memphis Grizzlies. He was the GM of the Grizzlies at the time, and I was starstruck. Okay, the only person in the room I was starstruck by was Jerry West, and the way that came down was that there were 2 picks at the end. The Grizzlies were in it, and the Cavs were in it. They were the last 2 on the board, and the way the Grizzlies situation was set up, if they got the number 1 pick, they'd get LeBron James and keep it. If they got pick 2 through 14, they had to give the pick up to Detroit. So they were in that moment looking at getting LeBron James or nothing out of that draft. Because even if you didn't win the lottery, you were still thinking we could get Carmelo Anthony, we could get Dwayne Wade, we could get Chris Bosh. It was all or nothing. He gets down to the final 2, the Cavs win the lottery. He was so angry. And again, at that point, by the way, I could give you 30 guesses as to why the Grizzlies didn't have that pick. I give you 100 guesses. It was because of a trade like 5 years earlier for Otis Thorpe, a trade he didn't make. And he was like, I cannot believe we did not have this pick protected. He was so angry. That was, like everybody, he was even angry at that show, that HBO show Winning Time, because it showed what happened when he got angry. But he was sort of a legendary angry guy, and he was so angry that night, and I was starstruck by him. But look, 1,000 people in the NBA know him better than me. I'm not going to sit here and try to say that I, had many meals with him, but I talked to him enough that I got a measure of that man. And he was a badass, and the NBA lost an icon, literally an icon. The freaking logo is, the actual icon itself is Jerry West.
Yeah, West Virginia boy. And on that note, D-Butt has a question for you.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. Obviously, the biggest leagues in the world, NFL, NHL, all these other ones, it's a logo, it's a shield, it's something. But Jerry West actually being a man, being that logo, how did that come about? Do you know how that actually happened?
Yeah, somebody picked. They actually, some people went back and found the actual moment. It's on, they have it, and somebody picked the silhouette, and the NBA office. The NBA never formally admitted that it was him. They sort of did it with a wink. Even Adam Silver a few years ago, he was like, it looks a lot like Jerry West, because they would have potentially had owed him some sort of licensing. They never did. He was well taken care of throughout his life, but. Yeah, I don't know how it got picked, but it got picked a long time ago. And I think there were opportunities at times where they could have changed the logo, but David Stern loved it, wanted to keep it. And now it's iconic. The red, blue, and white, all over the world. You see what that is, you know what it is. And it's Jerry West.
I remember people got pissed off about it, though, because, since Michael Jordan can't, remember it was LeBron, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Since Jordan can't be the logo, we could stop wearing his number or whatever. So then he stopped wearing his number, and then Jordan did something, and LeBron's like, all right, I'll wear the number again. I'm okay.
Yeah,
So,
LeBron had a lot of respect for Jerry West. I can tell you that.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear. It seems like everybody on Earth has respect for Jerry West. How could you not? 1980 through 2017.
Damn.
Working in the highest profession with not just like an advisor or a counselor. We're talking like a very high, prominent role.
Game changing.
That's a big brain out there. Now, let's get to the modern day basketball. Connor has a question for you, Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy, obviously Porzingis' status is up in the air. I believe Shams reported this morning that they're going to see how it goes in warm-ups and then kind of decide from there. And also Joe Mazzulla said yesterday, this isn't his decision anymore. We're going to make this decision for him. What are you expecting out of Porzingis? Do you think that there's a likely chance that he plays, or do you think it's 50-50 right now? And then also, how do you actually say the injury that he has?
Yeah, great
Connor,
tweets last night.
How do you feel about this as a Celtics guy? How are you feeling about this?
I mean, I feel pretty confident still, no doubt about it, just because their 2 best players are going up against, our 2 best defensive players. Like if Porzingis played guard, I'd be a lot more worried about it, but because he plays center, that's one thing. And, I already told the boys, do not sleep on Lukey Cornett. The guy gets soaking wet from 3 just like Porzingis.
I actually really like Luke Cornett. He's a fun guy to watch play. But he's no Porzingis. Let's be clear. This is an unheard of injury in the NBA. There's basically no history of this happening. The way they describe this dislocation of this tendon. Guys, I'm I'm an athlete myself.
Yes.
I played high school golf.
So
And basketball.
And basketball. We saw you on Bronstein.
Yeah, right. Of course. I invited LeBron to the course many times, but he was always too busy. I actually had tendonitis in this tibial tendon during my prolific golfing career. And I just remember, that it hurt to take every step. Not that I'm an athlete at all, but, people who have this injury badly need a walking boot. And, Porzingis was walking around yesterday without a limp, without a boot. So there's no frame of reference for this injury. There's no, I've gotten to the point where I've seen so many ankle sprains that I can sometimes see a guy turn his ankle and go, yeah, that's probably a grade 2. Or he pulled out of that. That's only maybe a grade 1, or could be grade 3. There's nobody knows this injury. Nobody. The Mavericks don't know it. The Celtics don't know it. It's, even the doctors, orthopedics and trainers, they don't know this injury. So I'm going to be honest with you, it's all a guess. They have no idea.
Damn.
So they're going to treat it like an ankle injury, and they're going to give him, I'm sure, whatever medications they can. They're going to wrap it up and try to get the swelling, and they're going to see how he feels.
Let's go back to
Connor,
your
I can't tell you how he's going to feel.
Okay, Wendy, let's go back. Let's do a little bit more journalism here. Let's go back to your prolific high school golf career whenever you had tendonitis in this tendon in a foot or whatever. Did they give you Toradol? How did it feel after you got Toradol? Were you able to walk?
Toradol was not offered. Offered. I did have some powerful anti-inflammatories I had to take, but I'm going to tell you, it didn't help. I was dragging that foot for a couple of months. So
couple of months?
Jeez.
Yeah. Definitely it really dragged down my game. I went from hitting it from 225 off the tee to 217. It was a real, really hurt my game.
Not bad.
Hell, that is.
Do it.
But Connor probably knows that the Celtics are plus 25 with Porzingis on the court this series, and they're even with him off the court. And so he's obviously a huge part of what they do. The big thing is Al Horford, guys.
Hold on, before we move on to Al Horford, we have video of Porzingis showing up at practice earlier today.
Oh, I thought you had video of my golf career. That would have been awesome.
No, we don't have 217-yard drives on our show ever, but
That's
we will potentially at some point if we find it of you. He looks like he's walking and moving pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, he's wearing a regular shoe. Again, if you see that, you're like, okay, he's not incapacitated. But I'll say, the other night after he had this injury, he could barely move out there.
Yeah,
and the Mavericks were attacking him to the point where they had to call timeout to get him off the court.
And is this a situation like KD where this injury can lead to a torn Achilles? Because as a Celtics fan, also up 2-0, don't really want to completely ruin his next season because there's no way he'd be able to come back next year if he tore his Achilles right now.
Connor, I have no idea. I'd never really heard of this exact injury, this dislocation or whatever. But, the thing is, I will tell you this. He sprained his left ankle twice this year, which what he's had. He's had injuries to both calves this year. And last summer, he couldn't play for the Latvian national team because he had plantar fasciitis in his right foot. So he's been having injuries down there. Yeah. So, yeah, you're concerned about it. I'm not going to tell you I'm a physical therapist. I'm going to tell you what tendons are tied to what muscles, but I'd be concerned about it. And the question I would really have if you're the Celtics is, would he be better if you gave him 2 more days off?
Yeah.
And can you risk putting him out there up 2-0? Can you risk putting him out there when maybe you give him 2 more days off? That would be a question I'm sure they're debating.
Didn't they say Wemby, even as a teenager, was working his feet and things like that? Because these super tall guys and girls who mostly basketball people, you run on wood. It's a lot of checking, starting, stopping, jumping, landing on things. So if the foot goes, everything goes.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren, remember he got hurt in the summer before his rookie year. He just tweaked his foot a little. He missed the entire season because he's 7'1".
Yeah, Ming.
Victor does toe strengthening exercises and has for years, where he put those bands that people put around their, they work their arms or they work their calves. He puts them around his toes.
People do a lot of stuff with their toes. Don't they?
Oh, yeah. A lot.
And he walks on his he gets on all fours and walks on his fingertips and tiptoes, like crab walks. Wow. It's wild to see.
That is like a bear crawl, but only on
on his toes and his fingers.
In front of you? He did it for you?
In front of everybody. I remember when I went to Paris to watch him last year, there was he would going through this workout, and all these NBA GMs, including Brian Wright from the Spurs, were watching him. because they were fascinated by this workout. And Brian Wright from the Spurs, who later drafted him when they won the lottery, he was using his iPhone to videotape this crab walk. I don't know, crab walk isn't right, but he was doing this because he's
a demon
trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an athlete. Not an
You
athlete.
could walk into
Whatever.
Ethan probably.
I mean, it's 4 point. He's in a 4 point state. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to describe this, but
Let's see it.
He's doing this I can't. Hey, you saw my shit. You saw.
That's nasty. That is a gross looking leg you have there, man.
I don't know what grade it is, but I have a fully torn hip flexor on my leg.
Ooh.
That is now.
I saw the photo and I didn't enlarge it. You can touch on Twitter and enlarge. I did not.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to see it that close. Back off.
Yeah, that's just
Back
blood.
up.
That's kind of just a pool of blood hanging out
Yep.
right above my knee because I guess it just flowed down the thigh, and that's where it found its home. Dr. Chow, pro football doc, he said it's going to get worse before it's going to get better.
Oh, no.
That's what his tweet
Never like
said.
to hear that.
Never like to hear that. Yeah, don't like, because I was really confused whenever my wife saw it last night because I'm hurting here, you see.
Sure.
There's really no
pain.
got nothing. Called the Colts training staff, and they told me, that thing just went right on down there.
Yep.
He said, there's a chance that thing could have ended up in your toes. Could you imagine I wake up and my toes are bruised? I'm like, I got diabetes, I'm dead.
I knew
That could have happened from a hip flexor. That's what we said. We had a guy tear his MCL. I tore this. We had a broken foot.
Yep.
That's TSD, baby.
That's right.
That's called half a hamstring. Yeah, we had concave for soccer. That was soccer. That's tough sport.
Yeah.
Tough sport. Let's get back.
You know your leg health. I would assume that you are a master of the leg, right?
Not at this stage, to be honest with you. This thing really popped mid-kick.
Never mind.
I kicked the ball out of a stadium, Wendy, whenever I tore this. Same exact shot out of a stadium. It was good. It's kind
Well, it depends on the size of the stadium, frankly.
if you saw it, you'd say, that ball went along.
Pretty big.
Oh,
Big
Yeah,
stage.
it's out. It's still going.
that's when you hurt yourself.
That in the middle of that swing there, boom, right in the middle of that.
That's a questionable decision for a man of your age. That's all I'm going to say.